Here's a story about how a practice source was muted by distance. Distance? What kind of distance? Distance between the recently promoted manager, Mark, and a good friend of his, Bill, with whom he had worked for years on the front line, in the machine shop and tools and die, just about every function on the management floor. But Mark was recently promoted. Bill found something that was not right among the people who he was working. There was something going on. It gave it sort of a toxic feeling in the team. Perhaps because Mark was gone and he was replaced by a newcomer who was not that interested in knowing anyone else in the team and just wanted to put his nose down and work on the machine. Bill then went to Mark and knocked on Mark's door, and Mark opened the door and said, "Bill, you have to come through Mrs. Jones out here. You can't just walk to my door." "Why not?" says Bill. "Well, I have a lot of paperwork and we've got to follow protocol now. We're friends, but we're not friends at the office. I'm your boss." "Well, Bill, Mark, just give me a minute. I have to tell you about a new situation in our team, or at least your former team." "Bill, Mrs. Jones knows my schedule. Make an appointment. We'll sit and we'll talk it over." Bill walked away kind of sad and pretty much discouraged about going back to Mark with the same situation. "I'll just tuck it up," he thought. "This guy will warm up at some point. In the meantime, I'll just do my work and stay out of management. That's now Mark's job." Well, you can predict that over the next few weeks and months, the teamwork levels of performance went down and down and down. And Mark was getting a bit of a pushback from his boss. "What's going on with that team?" Mark says, I don't know. Maybe I'll go ask my old friend Bill. He's been with that team since we formed it." Mark goes to Bill. Bill's working very hard. They have a deadline and there's a lot of flying parts going through. And Mark says, "Bill, can I have a moment?" And Bill looks up and says, I can't do it right now, Mark. Can you come back in 15 and I can get this last piece done?" Mark says, well, looks at his phone and says, "Oh, I've got an appointment in 15. Maybe I'll come back to you," which he never did until the whole team situation blew up. And then Bill and Mark looked at each other across the conference room where they were being regaled with complaints by their boss of bosses, and they shook their heads and they couldn't understand how this had all happened. Bill was a practice source who was muted. Mark then later became a practice source who was muted. Mute doesn't work well in a work situation.